R. Scott Oswald on whistleblowing. Mr. Oswald has helped dozens of whistleblowers to submit tips to the SEC and CFTC. Here he explains the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010, which protects and rewards whistleblowers who report fraud.
The Dodd-Frank Act promoted whistleblowing by doing two things. First, in providing incentives to individuals who were aware of potential fraud at publicly traded corporations or the finance industry to come forward, providing rewards of between 10 and 30% of anything that the SEC recovered as a reward, a bonus for coming forward, to incentivize integrity. The second thing that it did was to provide strong protections for individuals who knew about and disclosed wrongdoing in the workplace. In the wake of the Dodd-Frank Act, it is unlawful for an employer to take any action, including termination of employment, against an employee in whole or in part because of that disclosure.
What types of wrongdoing does the Dodd-Frank Act cover?
The Dodd-Frank Act covers any kinds of potential securities violations, anything that would affect the bottom line. Things like accounting irregularities, stock manipulation, any kind of matter that would deal with how shareholders might value the stock. These are things that the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commodities Futures Trading Commission want to know about. They're covered under the Dodd-Frank Act.
Who can report this sort of wrongdoing?
Usually they're insiders, many times highly placed individuals who have uncovered a potential wrongdoing or are simply aware of potential wrongdoing and either are being asked to participate or to cast a blind eye on what's happening. These are precisely the kinds of individuals that the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission wants to hear from. Individuals that have actionable, reliable, credible, and timely information.
Suppose a whistleblower wants to report some wrongdoing, but is scared of being fired.
Well, first they need to check with a lawyer. It's important to understand what the individual's rights are and the way in which that individual can trigger those rights. For example, certain kinds of external disclosures are required or potentially required under the Dodd-Frank Act. But in any instance, the law has very significant protections. Make-whole relief, to the extent that an employer takes any action against an individual who has disclosed what he believes in good faith, would constitute a potential violation of the Dodd-Frank Act. The individual is protected and can be made whole if they're retaliated against.
What's the difference between Dodd-Frank and other laws that might protect whistleblowers at public companies?
The Dodd-Frank Act in some ways is narrower. It relates almost entirely to securities fraud, but in some ways it's more robust in terms of its damages. Other laws like the Sarbanes-Oxley Act's anti-retaliation provisions are broader. They cover other kinds of improprieties like bank fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, and other types of violations of SEC rules. The Dodd-Frank Act, though, is a powerful weapon and is the first securities law that provides both rewards to an individual who steps forward and corresponding protections.